and welcome back. At long last we're in the new kitchen and today we're going to be making some vegan lamingtons, which I'm really looking forward to. For those who don't know what a lamington is, it's kind of an Australian, New Zealand type treat. It's a vanilla sponge, which we're going to be making a vegan vanilla sponge, and it's coated in a sauce almost and then rolled in desiccated coconut. They're really nice. They're often served cut with some jam or some cream in the middle. And yeah, that is what we're going to be making. So let me show you how to do it. You're going to want to start by preheating your oven to 160 degrees Celsius, fan forced, or 175. Alright, now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to melt 140 grams of vegan margarine. Margarine, yes, I know, I'm using Nuttolix. It's got quite a nice buttery flavour. Yeah, melt it in the microwave until completely melted. To one bowl, add your melted butter, a pinch of salt, 1 cup of sugar, and 300 ml of plant-based milk. And whisk it all together. We're also going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. One, 2. Lastly, you're going to want to add a cup and 2 cups and 2 tablespoons of plain flour and 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Baking powder, one, 2, 3, 4. And then we're just going to whisk it all together until we get a nice smooth batter. You might notice that there is an absurdly large amount of baking powder in the sponge, and that's because it relies heavily on chemical leaveners to provide the nice fluffy texture that we want. Generally, when you make a sponge, if you didn't know, you put a very large amount of eggs in so that you can beat the mixture and create air bubbles that way. Also, the moisture from the eggs creates more air in the baking mix. So without eggs and without the moisture and the fat from the eggs, we rely solely on baking powder, which is why there is so much. Alright, and this is my nice batter that I have formed. We are going to set that aside very quickly and line a square baking dish. Alrighty, and then all you need to do is pour your mixture into your baking dish and hopefully your oven is preheated. Mine isn't just yet, so I'm gonna be waiting for a little bit. And just like that. It tastes really good. My oven's nice and hot, so we are ready to go, and we are going to place our nice sponge mix straight in the oven and bake for 25 minutes. Then check on it, and if a skewer or a toothpick, if you push into the middle, comes out clean, we're ready. That was 25 minutes, but I could tell without even bringing it out of the oven, as soon as I bumped it, it was really, really jiggly in the middle, so not ready just yet. I'm gonna let it go for maybe another 10 minutes, and then I'll check on it again. And now we test with a toothpick, straight in the middle, have a little go. And we are completely clean. It actually took another 15 minutes in the oven. Now I'm gonna let it cool for 5 minutes in the tin, then we're gonna flip it out and slice it, get it in nice square uniforms, little squares before we cut it, roll it and serve it. It has been well over 5 minutes, so we can definitely take this out of the tin now. This looks incredibly soft. Tastes good. Smells amazing. Now I'm gonna let it cool completely up on the cooling rack here. Then we're going to use a ruler and try and get some little square lamingtons. And I'll be back with our icing and rolling and all the rest of it when it's cool. Alrighty. I reckon we are now cool enough to start trimming and getting ready to make our squares. I told a small white lie earlier. I said that I would be using a ruler, and I think we're just gonna wing it because I couldn't find one. First of all, what you want to do is you want to trim down your edges just a little bit to make them nice and even and consistent and flat. And it's easiest if you use a bread knife for this step. And you're more than welcome to try your offcuts. So despite having no eggs and no aeration that way, it's still a very light, moist cake. Probably due to the high moisture content. Now the other thing you also want to do is you want to take the top off. If you too want to make this recipe and follow along like I have just made this cake, the recipe will be linked in the description below. It is a Mckenziefoods recipe, I believe. Oh, this is a disaster. It's alright, we'll be able to cover it up with the coconut. Alrighty, so about this thick, I think I want to go for maybe 1, 2, Make it a really small one. One. Now we're going to leave this, I'll separate them out so that the middle of them cools as well. And we're going to get our filling ready. In this bowl here, I've made up approximately a half recipe of the Mckenzie's food recipe that they use. So I'm just going to dip my Lamingtons in here really quickly, chuck them in here, give them a good rolling, and set aside on a separate. Oh, I don't have anywhere to put them. Oh dear. And there you have it, just like that, you have some delightful looking chocolate Lamingtons right in front of you. From here, you're going to want to chuck them in an airtight container and store them in the fridge. And when you want to eat one or try one or serve one, cut it open either on a diagonal or straight down. Put a little bit of jam and maybe a little bit of cream, vegan cream if you have some, and eat it just like that. They will taste brilliant. The coating should only be maybe this thick when you cut into them. They do need at least 15 minutes in the fridge to chill and set a little bit. But yeah, as far as these go, these are some pretty cool Lamingtons. The chocolate outer coating, amazing. The coconut, just classic Lamington. But the sponge, I reckon I could do better. So keep an eye out. I might try and do a classic vegan sponge, and that would make a much better base for this. I found that it was a bit too dense. It may have been my fault, maybe it was supposed to be a much thinner sponge so it would cook faster and therefore puff up more, but who knows. If you have a better vegan Lamington or better sponge recipe, let me know down in the comments. Challenge me, I will challenge you. Let's do it. Let's make a better vegan Lamington than this Mckenzie's one, or than my first attempt at this Mckenzie's one. But that is all I have for you today, so until then, peace out, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next video.